Deserts. Deserts can be found all over the world, and they are often hot and dry places where not many plants and animals can live. Some nomad tribes who live in deserts have a difficult time because there is not much food or water. Deserts can be hot in the day and even freezing at night. Temperatures in deserts are extremely different at day and night because of the low moisture content of the air and the ground. During the day, the sun's rays heat up the surface of the desert, causing the air near the ground to become extremely hot. However, because there is little moisture in the air, the heat is not retained and is quickly radiated back into the atmosphere. At night, the lack of moisture also means that the air and ground do not retain heat very well. As a result, the desert cools down rapidly, and the temperature can drop by as much as 20 to 30 degrees Celsius in just a few hours. This daily temperature fluctuation is known as the diurnal temperature range, and is characteristic of desert climates. The desert is a place of stark contrast and diversity. One of the most notable features of deserts is the varying scenery that can be found in different regions. Some deserts are dominated by vast expanses of sand dunes, while others are composed mainly of rugged rocky terrain. Still, in other regions, the ground is hard-packed earth or clay soil. The sand that can be found in some deserts is made up of small pieces of rocks that have been blown around by the wind over time. Interestingly, the color of the sand can vary widely depending on the type of rocks that it is composed of. Some deserts feature sand that is golden or reddish in color, while others have sand that is white or gray. Despite their harsh and inhospitable nature, deserts are home to a surprising array of plant and animal life. Many of these species have adapted to the extreme conditions found in desert environments. For example, the saguaro cactus can store water to survive during long dry spells. The fennec fox, which is a small and nimble predator, is native to the Sahara. Human-made structures can also be found in desert regions around the world. Wind turbines, solar panels, and oil rigs are just a few examples of the ways that humans have attempted to harness the unique environmental conditions found in these regions. Despite the challenges of living in a desert, there is no denying the beauty and diversity that can be found in these stark and rugged landscapes. From the shifting sands of the Sahara to the towering rock formations of the American Southwest, the desert is a place of endless fascination and wonder. Sometimes the wind makes tall piles of sand called dunes that move slowly across the desert. Deserts have also sandstorms where strong winds blow sand and dust, making it dangerous for people and animals. But there are also oases, which are places where water flows under the desert and reaches the surface in springs. This water is important for plants and animals to live, and if people use it wisely, it can make the desert a better place for life. Deserts are valuable ecosystems that are home to many different types of life. Deserts have their own beauty and are home to rare and interesting species. Many plants and animals have adapted to live in hot and dry conditions. Some plants store water in their leaves or stems, while animals have developed special ways to stay cool and go without water for a long time. Some special plants and animals like cacti and camels have survived this harsh and tough environment. By protecting and preserving these regions, we can learn more about nature and find new ways to live in harmony with our planet. But deserts are also at risk because of human activities like overgrazing, mining, and urbanization. To protect them, we need to use less water and be careful about how we use the land. People who live in deserts also face challenges because it can be hard to find food and water. But even though deserts can be harsh, they are still very beautiful and unique. deserts are important to many people because of their cultural traditions and way of life. Deserts have economic value. Deserts can also be important sources of minerals and other resources, like oil. For example, many countries in the Middle East rely on oil reserves found beneath their deserts for economic growth and development. Thus, it's important to use these resources carefully, so that we don't harm the environment or local communities. Activities like intensive mining can harm the environment if not managed carefully. By taking good care of deserts and conserving them, these regions can become more habitable and provide a home for many plants and animals. This is not only good for the environment, but can also create opportunities for farming and other businesses. Some people use sustainable practices to live in harmony with the desert environment, such as collecting rainwater to irrigate crops. By using sustainable practices and being careful about how we use land and water, we can make deserts more habitable and protect the environment at the same time. Using irrigation can transform desert regions into green and fertile land. To irrigate a desert, water can be sourced from dams across nearby rivers, or it can be pumped up from wells in the ground. This water is used to help plants grow and support other living things. If people manage and conserve the water wisely, then deserts can become better places to live for many different types of plants and animals. By taking care of the environment and using resources wisely, we can ensure that deserts continue to thrive and support life for future generations. Oasis. We got to know that deserts are vast areas of land where it's very dry, hot, and sometimes cold. In these places, finding water can be really hard. But did you know that in the middle of some deserts, there are special spots called oases? Oases are like hidden treasures. Oases are a haven of life and beauty in the desert. Oases are small areas with water, plants, and sometimes even people and animals. Let's dive into the fascinating world of oases and learn about how they bring life to the desert. An oasis is like a mini paradise in the desert. It's a place where water springs up from the ground. Imagine a pond or a small lake surrounded by green plants and trees, all in the middle of the dry desert. Oases are like nature's gift to desert travelers and animals. They provide relief from the scorching sun and a chance for life to flourish. When you look at an oasis, you might think you're looking at a painting. The contrast between the golden sand and the vibrant greenery is a sight to behold. Palm trees, grasses, and other plants thrive around the water source. Birds chirp happily, and animals like camels and goats come to drink and rest. Oases are like secret gardens in the heart of the desert. Oases are not just beautiful, they're also full of life. People have known about oases for a long time and have built villages and towns around them. People grow crops and raise animals near the water. Ancient travelers used to follow the stars and the wind to find these oases, as they were like lifelines in the vast desert. Have you ever wondered how water appears in the desert? Oases are formed by underground water that comes close to the surface. Sometimes, the water bubbles up on its own, creating a spring. Other times, people dig wells to reach the water hidden beneath the sand. This water is often from rain that fell in faraway mountains. It travels underground through layers of rock and sand before reaching the oasis. Oases are not just pretty spots, they're essential for survival. They provide water for people, animals, and plants. People use oasis water for drinking, cooking, and watering their fields. Animals like camels, which are well adapted to the desert, find refreshment at oases during their journeys. Oases are like oases of hope in the desert, allowing life to exist where it seems impossible. Animals like camels, which are well adapted to the desert, find refreshment at oases during their journeys. Oases are like oases of hope in the desert, allowing life to exist where it seems impossible. Living in an oasis has its challenges, too. Water is precious, and people have to use it carefully. They build canals to distribute water to their fields, and they also share the water with their animals. Sometimes, oases can dry up if there's not enough rain in the mountains. This makes life difficult for both people and nature. Oases have not only been a source of life but also of inspiration for many cultures. In stories, oases are often depicted as places of rest and rejuvenation. They are places where travelers meet, stories are shared, and traditions are passed down. Many poems and songs celebrate the beauty and tranquility of oases. With more people living in and around oases, it's important to take care of these precious places. People can help by using water wisely and not polluting the oasis. Planting native trees and plants helps keep the oasis healthy. By working together, we can make sure that oases continue to be havens of life in the desert. Oases are like miracles in the desert. They bring life, beauty, and hope to a land that seems harsh and unforgiving. From their lush greenery to their important role in supporting life, oases show us the resilience and adaptability of nature. Whether you're a traveler seeking shelter or a student learning about the world, the story of oases reminds us that even in the most unlikely places, life can bloom. So, next time you imagine a desert, remember the hidden oases waiting to be discovered like precious gems in the sand. Mirage in the desert. When you look at an oasis, you might think you're looking at a painting. The contrast between the golden sand and the vibrant greenery is a sight to behold. We're going to dive into the mysterious world of deserts and talk about something that might trick your eyes: mirages. Imagine seeing water in the desert, but when you get closer, it's not really there. You can say that mirage in the desert is the illusion of the oasis. Let's explore this fascinating phenomenon together. A mirage is like a tricky painting made by nature. It happens in deserts or on hot roads. When you look at a mirage, it seems like there's water on the ground, like a shimmering lake or a pool. But when you try to reach it, it disappears, just like a dream or a vapor. Mirages happen because of something called refraction. It's like light playing a game with your eyes. In the desert, the ground gets super hot, and the air close to it gets even hotter. This hot air bends the light that's coming from the sky, like a bending straw. As you know, an oasis is a special place with water in the desert. Sometimes, a mirage makes it look like there's a shiny oasis in front of you. But when you go near, it vanishes. It's like a magical trick. It is called the oasis mirage. It's nature's own illusion. Mirages happen because of the way light travels. When the light goes from the sky to the hot air near the ground, it bends. This bending makes things look like they're in a different place. So, what you see is not really where it seems to be. Imagine you're walking in the desert. The sun is shining, and the sand is so hot. You've been walking for a while. Suddenly, you see water ahead. It's like a miracle. But as you move closer, the water seems to move away. No matter how much you walk, the water is always far ahead. That's a mirage. That is an illusion. Did you know that mirages have inspired artists and storytellers for a long time? In stories, they are sometimes seen as magical gates to other worlds. In art, mirages create dreamy and mysterious landscapes that capture the imagination. Mirages are like nature's playful tricks, making us believe we see things that aren't really there. Remember, the desert is full of surprises, and mirages are just one of them. So next time you spot something shiny in the desert, don't forget it might be a mirage, a beautiful illusion created by the sun and the air.